Welcome to an intermediate bead making tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make a tiger bead. We'll start off by making a stringer for the stripes. This is a black on white. I use an intense black because if you use a regular black, the black will tend to turn shades of purple or blue. Once the black stripes are applied to the white gather, you heat it up and then pull it. And when you pull it, make sure that you pull it and twist it. It's the twisting pattern that shows up like tiger stripes once you apply it to the bead. So I'm going to grab the gather, pull it out. Sorry, this gets out of the camera view a little bit. Pull it out and just make a nice little stringer. The intense black is a special color. It's a little more expensive. I use a Moretti brand. Once that stringer's made, I'll make a amber stringer. I use two colors of amber, a dark amber and a light amber. You can apply these separately, or you can combine them together into a single stringer, which is my preference. It just makes work a little bit shorter. So in this case I'm coating the dark amber with a light amber, and that allows it to be together nicely. And then I'll pull this out, no need to twist. I'll let it cool just a second and then pull it out into a stringer that is a little bit thicker than the black and white stripe stringer. Okay, now for the actual video of making the bead. First, make a base bead of any color. I like green or black. In this case I'm using black. This is not the intense black, this is just a regular black because I'm not pulling it up into a small strand, so it's not going to turn blue. Go ahead and make a little wheel in here and then melt that down so we get good puckers on each end. So melt it, melt it, melt it. Once you have your base bead, you will apply your stringer to the base bead. So it's really important that the base bead is pretty symmetrical. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should not be really asymmetric, so I work it a little bit to make it a good base. Once that base bead is made, it's time to apply that stringer. So take the stringer, heat it a little bit, and then once you get it nice and warm, you can apply the tip of the flame about a half an inch or about a centimeter from the bead as you lay it down. The nice thing about stringers is they tend to melt rather quickly. You can see right there I'm a little bit off on the melting, but an imperfect stringer application is not going to hurt you on this bead. It only gives it character. So once the stringer is laid down, I will smooth out the sides so that it stays towards the center and then allow it to melt in. The intense black tends to form a spiderwebby pattern on the white if you overcook it. So be careful not to overcook it if you use intense black for this part of the bead, or you can overcook it. It just gives it a little bit of a different character and the edges are a little less defined. So once the stripe pattern is established, the next step is to encase it. When encasing, it's important to use a clear that doesn't scum, and it's important that the underlying bead doesn't get too hot so that you distort the pattern. In this case I use a preheated rod and get it nice and warm and then start applying the encasing to the bead. I do this similar to the way I applied the stringer. I have to take a little more time to heat it, but I will apply the flame about a centimeter above the bead. Once the basic encasing is around the bead, it's time to take a pick and pull the edges down. If you don't pull the edges down and completely cover the black and white, and even the black on the sides, that black will tend to run up the base bead. I'm not quite sure how that happens, but it'll scum your clear encasing. So I'm going to pull the edges down with a pick. Sometimes the pick will stick if it gets too hot. That's why I keep a cup of cold water on my workbench so I can dip the pick quickly and cool it down. Go to the other side and pull the encasing down. This is a little easier for you to see. So I heat the edge, don't heat the bead too much, and then pull that clear down. I try to go all the way around the first time. Occasionally there are a couple of spots that I will not push down as much as I should, so at the very end I'll look at those and make sure that they go down like they should. There goes that pick sticking. So pull it down, heat, pull it down, get the pick in the water, heat it, pull it down, and I just repeat that over and over again. In this case you can see there are a couple of areas I didn't quite get to, so I'm going to take a close look, heat up the area a little bit, and then correct it. So there's a spot, pulled it down, there's one more on the other side. It's not quite as hot, so it takes a little longer to heat it, but I get it heated. Once it starts to melt, push it down. And try not to touch the mandrel or the bead release, because that'll put some bead release up in your glass. Now it's time to apply the amber glass. I do this in various ways. Heat the rod or the stringer. Actually, it's more like a rod, isn't it? And then place that amber glass. I go with the direction of the stripes in general, although if you do that too much, it looks not very organic. So I put a couple dots there and then go with the direction of the glass, etc. Once that amber glass is on there, I'll heat that in nicely. So here we go, heat, heat, heat. And the nice thing about having pushed the encasing all the way down on the sides is you don't have to worry about heating it too much and causing running, because the clear will cover over everything. So in this case you can see that my bead is a little bit lopsided, so the areas that are larger I will heat up and then place up high so that gravity can pull them down into the rest of the bead. After a while that just kind of becomes second nature, doesn't it? Okay, so heating it, there's a big spot, let it fall down. Top is big, stop, let it fall down. And then eventually you're going to wind up with a bead that looks pretty good. So I'm going to marv the edges, keep on going. Okay, not perfect, but for demonstration it's not bad. So this bead is close to being done. I'll take it, place it in either a kiln or a fiber blanket, and then afterwards this is what it looks like. Not a bad tiger pattern. So give it a try. If you have any questions, email me, happy to answer.